Y'all, hello. Welcome back to Business First Creatives Podcast. I am here with another case study for Systems in Session. Now, I know I've been doing a lot of them, but guess what? I have a lot of amazing clients that I want each and every one of you to hear from. So today I'm going to be talking to Megan, and Megan is not a photographer. And so I'm excited for you guys to hear her perspective because I know I talk a lot to photographers, but the truth is I love working with like all creatives. It's just easier for marketing that I talk to photographers all day. Megan, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Colie, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this conversation.
Well, and I do think it's ironic. You're not a photographer, but you found me through a photographer.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. Yep.
So, Megan, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do inside your business.
Okay, so my name is Megan Smith, and I am a full-time teacher, a mom of 3 kids, a farm wife who solo parents 6 months out of the year, I think. It feels like, anyways. And then I also run a professional home organizing business as my side hustle. And so I like to help moms make their homes function for them so that they can spend their time doing more important things.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to outsourcing, I feel like we as business owners do not talk about the fact that there are so many things that we can outsource in our home that would help us in
Hmm.
our business. And I see your service as one of those things because when people ask me what I outsource, I mean, you know all the things I outsource, Megan. I talk about my virtual assistant, I talk about my podcast producer, but I also just as equally talk about my housekeepers
Yes,
because
yes.
if my house being clean depended on me,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't want to tell you guys what my house would look like if it depended on me, but thank goodness it
Yep,
doesn't. And for a
yep.
while, I was doing like meal prep. I mean, there are just other ways to get more time back in your life. And it's not always about what you can outsource in your business.
Yes, exactly. And actually, it's kind of funny that you're mentioning that too, because literally, like right now, we are on our farm. We're starting to calve, and my husband is the main labor for that. And I literally was like, okay, I I could like feel the stress building, right? And I literally was sending out text messages to a few people that I knew, being like, I need to hire someone and they need to help me with my dishes and my laundry.
Mm.
Which eventually might turn into a stress less organizing service.
Hmm.
But I am truly like I was like, I could feel my stress level rising and we're just getting started. So I was just like, I need help. This has to happen. So
Yeah. So let's jump into because I think that a big thing that you and I worked together on in Systems in Session was giving you the systems and kind of the structure so that your side hustle could
mhm.
essentially run itself outside of you actually doing the service. So, Megan, like, why was now? And I mean, granted, guys, I'm saying now, and Megan has actually been out of Systems in Session for a few months. But when you originally contacted me to join Systems in Session, like what were you feeling in that moment in relation to your side hustle?
Yeah. So I think I actually oh gosh, was it October that we?
Hmm.
So I vividly remember last April, so it would have been April 2025. I finally had this like clear vision of exactly which I started my business in March of 2023, and it took
Okay.
until April of 2025 for me to get like this very clear vision of what I needed from my clients, the information I needed from my clients to show up to their house and do a good job
Mhm.
and do a job that like I walked away like feeling happy with and proud of and like exactly what I needed. So it took a long time for me to like nail this down. And then from April of 2025 through the fall, I was just kind of like marinating on like how can I make this work? How can I figure it out? And actually in August, I think I started actually doing the action steps of building it all out in Google. And I've listened to your podcast for quite a while and it was just like I just was very patient with myself, trying to not make my typical impulse purchase, but I thought about it for a long time and I was just like it truly is the cog in the wheel is like what I felt like of like I am a professional home organizer. I didn't want to introduce anyone into my system. Like deep down, I didn't want to like introduce anyone into my system if it was a mess. Right?
Hmm.
Like I wanted it to be like I had this vision, this clarity, this I know what I wanted, but I didn't want to promote it. Like it was truly holding me back from promoting my services because I didn't want to bring them into this like a chaos of a
Hmm.
booking system. And I wanted to be, like feel proud of the process and then also proud of the work and providing the service too. So finally let myself get in systems in session.
So you started trying to do it in Google, which I find
Mhm.
ironic because I didn't know this part of the story. So when you came into Systems in Session, we actually set up all of your systems inside of HoneyBook. So
Mhm.
I just like to ask my clients because sometimes you have a good reason and other times you're like,
Mhm.
I don't know, I flipped a coin. But
Yep.
why did you choose HoneyBook as the app that you wanted to deliver your client experience to your clients from? Like what made you choose
Yeah.
HoneyBook?
Well, and actually I think the initial piece of me going towards HoneyBook was because in March of whatever I said, 2023, I actually purchased like a course on like how to start a home organizing business. It's Inspired Organizer, I think,
Hmm.
Pro Organizer Studio. Anyway, so through the education of that course and then the other pro organizers around the US, that HoneyBook was what was promoted
Okay.
through them and how they used it. And so I did have it that first summer in 2023, but I also knew even at that time, I was like, I know that this system or like HoneyBook itself, like I'm not utilizing it
Hmm.
to the best of its capabilities. Like I am not figuring it out fast enough almost, just I knew it could do more of what I wanted, but at that point it was like getting the job done. Like definitely was not I did not have anything automated at that point, but like, the contract and payment was pretty
Hmm.
much going through there. So that's how I got into HoneyBook.
Yeah. And when we began working together in October of 2025, for context, you didn't even have a contact form on your website that was bringing people directly into HoneyBook. It was
Mhm.
just, I mean, did you have a website contact form? I can't actually remember. I only remember you didn't have a HoneyBook form on there.
Yeah, I honestly no, there definitely wasn't one on the website, and I honestly think that the only thing on my website was maybe like my email opt-in.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I had like taken things down because I didn't want to promote.
You didn't want
I was
anybody to actually book
stumbling.
you.
Yes, because I was like, no, don't book me. This is a mess.
I mean, and you are the first person, Megan, to actually say, no, I literally did not want anyone to book my services until I had systems
Yep.
in place. And so when you first told me that, I was like, oh, okay. And then no, when I saw that you weren't bringing people in, I was like, oh, wow, no, she really means that. Like
Yeah.
she really doesn't want anybody to book her.
Yeah.
But one of I mean, aside from us having our kickoff call where we sat down and we talked about all of the different pieces that you do related to personal organizing, and you were able to communicate to me all of the different things that you had to complete, or that when you communicated to me all of the different pieces of information that you needed from your clients, the
Hmm.
next step was we actually did create a contact form and we put it on your website. And what happened? I think it was like a
Oh my
week or
gosh.
two later.
No, it was like 48 hours. 48 hours. And I was like, oh my God. Colie, what do I do?
Oh, but you're leaving out what happened 48 hours later,
Oh,
guys.
I didn't even
Someone,
say.
no,
Yeah. No, somebody filled out the form on my website and it led to a booking.
yeah. So, I mean, it's one of the things, all of the sales and marketing people are like, track how quickly your clients
Hmm.
earn their money back. And I was like, oh, well, I mean,
Yeah.
technically, Megan earned back half of what she paid me for
Yep.
systems in session in the
Hmm.
first 48 hours of us
Hmm.
putting a contact form on her website.
Yep.
And how did that client find you?
I'm pretty sure she Googled.
Yeah, she Googled.
Hmm.
So you already had this website that was in existence,
Hmm.
probably with, some web pages that were, that Google was already sharing with people. but you
Yep.
didn't have any way for these people to
Nope.
actually inquire about your services. And you put that
Nope.
form up, and 48 hours later, the person
Mm-hmm.
inquired. And you are not the only person to do that at this point, but back then you were the first person.
Mm-hmm.
We literally built every step in your client experience based on you getting it ready for that one client.
Yeah.
So we did the contact form, and then she inquired. And then I think that we were writing the inquiry email so that you could send it to her. And then you were creating your booking file in
Yeah.
order to send it with her. And so you were really lucky in that, like, it was probably a faster pace than you would have wanted, but like you got to create as you gave it to that one particular client. And then you got to really see the assets in action through that one person's journey from inquiry all the way through the service.
Yeah, it was honestly awesome. And even that, like, I always have to tell myself, like, done is better than perfect. So even though, like you said, it probably was a little faster than I would have probably almost preferred, but at the same time, I know it's good for me too to just like, yeah, you have to do it. Then that like motivation too, just to like, you have no choice. You need
Mm-hmm.
to serve this client. And then it honestly, I loved it too, because I mean, even after the services were delivered, I had that experience that I could be like, okay, I need to, I think we circled back and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I need to add this here. I need to include this here. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, let's talk about your client experience, because in another
Hmm.
way, you are also slightly different in that, you've got this offer. And listening audience, I'm going to walk you through what Megan's offer looks like in the client experience, because I think it's important to talk about this, in that you guys always hear me talking about the 5 workflows that every, creative entrepreneur needs. And guess what? Megan didn't
Hmm.
really have those five automations in HoneyBook, if you will. But what we ended up doing was, you had the inquiry, and then you had the booking phase. And then your onboarding phase was probably the most unique that I've ever seen one of my clients do, because in your onboarding, you had like 3 different phases. And it was basically you would collect information from the
Hmm.
client, you would create something, you would give it back to them, they would send you something else. And they didn't actually schedule the service until all of that was done. So, like, Megan did all of this up front, and she didn't actually have the client on her calendar for a specific service. It wasn't until all of this information was kind of collected that she was finally like, okay, I have everything I need from you. Here's your permission to
Yeah.
actually choose a day for me to come to your house to do the organization. And here's my calendar, which, by the way, you can, choose your day and time on your own. No back and forth with me. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's truly like all of that is literally what I just mentioned about like where I was like, okay, this is what I need from my clients. This is the information I'm going to need so that I can show up at their house and complete the service and feel like I did a good job. And I don't want to say the word like feel fulfilled, but on top of that, like a lot of professional home organizers in their business offer like free in-home consultations. And I have 3 kids. My husband's a farmer and I work full time. And our farm is 30 miles from home. So there's just
Mm-hmm.
all these things that like it truly like I just had to figure out how to get past these barriers for myself to like provide services for people. And one of the barriers I needed to use HoneyBook to get over was getting the information
Mm-hmm.
from my clients. So they sending me their like pictures and videos, upload, like they had the option to upload the files that I could see, and asking them the questions of what their goals are and how they use the space, what they, just getting
Mm-hmm.
all of that information. But as much as I would love to sit down and talk with every client in person about what they need and what my services can provide, in this season of my life, it's just not
Mm-hmm.
possible.
Yeah, so the systems really helped you maintain balance, not just between like your business and your personal life, but your business, your personal life,
Hmm.
and your full-time job. And that was why one of the things that you and I did like extensively in the beginning was talking about that onboarding process, because I feel like I kept pushing you, okay, Megan, but like if you show up at their house, what are things that you may have needed to know that we haven't yet covered in these questionnaires? Because the worst thing for you would be that you get to someone's house and it turns out that like something is different, or you needed something that you didn't order, because most of the products that you are ordering in order to help someone organize their house takes over a week to get to you. So it's not like you can really show up in the moment and just kind
Yeah.
of fudge it.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I didn't want to happen.
Mhm. And then I feel like we also spent like a ton of, I mean, we spent way more time on questionnaires than I think I ever
Mm.
have with anyone else,
Good, because it
because
felt like it.
I mean, right? Because that initial call, like a lot of my clients do discovery calls. And for
Hmm.
you, we were even trying to avoid you getting on a phone call with someone, because that was time like you would have had to do it at night after you get home. And you were, really specific about the fact that you go to work as a teacher full time, and then you come home and you really want to spend that time with your kids, with your partner, or actually preparing for a client service, not talking to leads that may end up being a client but may not.
Yeah. I mean, really, from when it comes to discovery calls, like all I feel like is just like wherever I am during the day, it's loud. It's either my own kids or my 25 kids. It's my own
Mhm.
three and my 25 at school, and they all sound like they're at the same level. It doesn't it doesn't matter how many kids there are. But
That's all
it's
you hear
like,
is the kids.
yes, it's just loud. And so I just don't, because even, I mean, I do have a 30-minute commute that I'd love to talk to people, but I still have kids with me when I'm driving to town. So it's just not the vibe that I would want. They don't need to hear me barking at the kids to be quiet. So yeah, avoiding the discovery call is really like, I would definitely make time for a client who
Who
needed
needed
that,
it. Mhm.
or would prefer it. But it's like, if we could handle this information without it, this and having it all like on a digital record that I
Mhm.
can reference back to, like all of that, it just really I mean, it's pretty much a ultimate game changer when it comes to me and my business and how I
I
want to run it.
I understand that. And the funny thing is, even with your full-time job and your kids, you're not the only person that I work with that's like, I mean, Colie, I would really love to avoid sales calls if I
Yeah.
could. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely not particular to you. I've had some clients, like this week alone, I was working with two different people who are basically scripting a replacement sales call video so that that can be embedded on the top of their proposal or their smart file to kind of walk the clients through it, so that again, you're all of you are happy to talk to someone if they want your services, they need some reassurance, they have questions. But like, that shouldn't be the default. The default for you was, how can I get people processed from inquiry to booking without the need of scheduling a synchronous call with them?
Yeah. And I'm just always about getting rid of like myself, like the barriers of, whatever's going to
Mhm.
hold me back from getting something off my to-do list, if I can avoid it, or, take a different route. The path of least resistance is what I need. So, and I'm sure
Mhm.
everybody needs that, especially as business owners.
They do. So I'm going to specifically ask you a few questions about systems in
Yeah.
session. So we were together for 60 days. At the end of the 60 days, what do you think is the most important thing that you got out of the experience?
Literally the one word. Now, it's probably not the only word, but a huge word the whole time I was like working with you and building it out. And even by the end, was confidence. And it was truly like confidence to bring people in to my system, like to get them in there and to know or feel confident that they're going to be happy with the process.
Mhm.
That's, I mean, that's the hashtag for my experience.
And I mean, I feel like we've talked about this, so I'm going to put
Hmm.
words in your mouth, if you will.
Oh
But it
yeah.
wasn't just confidence in the systems. It was you having confidence as a business owner, because I do feel like,
1000%.
yeah,
Hmm.
when you started, you were just like, I mean, I know that I can do a good job, but I don't feel confident selling my services to people at this point. And I know, just like everybody else that I talked to, Megan, there were a couple of parts where we were negotiating over your prices. And I say that lovingly because,
Yeah.
hey, listening
Yeah.
audience, if you're new to this podcast, I make everybody raise their prices. But when Megan first told me her prices, I was like, yeah, no. Have you done the math? I'm like, I'm internally doing the math for you, and that's not enough money. And so we kind of set it up like incremental. I was like, this is bare minimum what you should put on this first booking proposal. And I have the feeling that you're going to raise it quite soon after. But I mean, it was a negotiation between you and me.
Yep, yep. And I said, and you were right because I circled back after that first client, and I was like, okay, yes, you're right. I'm going to include this. I'm going to include this and raise the price, so
Mm-hmm.
it'll all
And
be
I mean,
good.
for us, it was even figuring out what you needed to charge additional money for because
Yeah.
there were things that I mean, I don't want to say that you were a roadblock to yourself, but for example,
Oh, but I
you and
am.
I,
Sorry.
guys, I love it when my clients are honest. One of the things that I feel like happens in systems in session that I don't get to talk about publicly enough is when you tell me your process, not only am I helping you make sure that your prices are profitable and sustainable, I want to make sure that you are not making yourself do more work than the actual task is worth. And so in
Mm-hmm.
your case, Megan, to me, that was itemizing what it was that you wanted to purchase for the client in order to
Yes.
organize their home because you wanted to basically make like a shopping list and
Mm-hmm.
then show them line by line each thing
Mm-hmm.
that you were going to buy and put the price and kind of have them approve it. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, girl, all this added together is not enough money for you to spend the amount of time that it was going to take you
Yep.
to do that itemized list. So I was like, why not just include up to a certain amount of money of your organizing supplies are just included in the price. And you were like,
Yeah.
wow, yeah, let's do that. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know, in most cases, you're going to be under that number. Cause I mean, I didn't just throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
asked you, you know,
Yeah.
last couple times that you did this, how much money did you spend? And when
Yeah.
you were telling me, I was like, yeah, itemizing that
Mm.
doesn't make sense to me. That's taking too much time.
But that's totally how my brain works. It's just like make it clear, like
Mhm.
make it so they can see exactly what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
just
I'm all about clarity. I am all about
yes,
transparency.
yes,
But in
yes.
that case, I mean, it just felt like the end result I mean, because we're not talking about hundreds of dollars. You were not spending like $400 on someone's organizing supplies. I was just like, for the amount of money that you're spending, like, I would just rather you, as the business owner and the person who has the knowledge of what they need, can just present it to them as this is what I am intending to, purchase for your organizing. Will this work with the aesthetic of the room? I mean,
Right,
that was
right.
eventually where we got.
Right. And it really took out a whole back and forth between me and the client, which is better for everyone involved, right? Like it
Mm-hmm.
just to take out that like they did approve in the end, but the back and forth part in the middle that
Mm-hmm.
with going back with those itemized
What
organization
and I
products.
mean, at the end of the day, it was that I couldn't figure out a way for you to streamline it because everybody's space is different.
Hmm.
What you
Yeah.
purchased for a garage was going to be very different than what you purchased for a kid's playroom or was
Hmm.
different from a kitchen. And
Yep.
I was just like, I can't figure out a way to, I don't want to say automate, but like I can't even figure out a way for you to streamline it where you could just grab certain products. I was
Hmm.
like, it's just going to take you too much time
Yeah.
to like grab screenshots and put them
Yep.
in a questionnaire and
Yep.
allow them to check yes or no. And right before we made that decision to kind of eliminate that altogether, we were talking about the money. And I was like,
Hmm.
well, I mean, you could make each one of these an item and have a price attached to it. And then when they check it for approval, it would start calculating the money. But again, I was like,
Yeah.
if we're talking about like $100, this just seems like a lot of work
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for
Yep.
$100.
For sure. For sure.
All right, Megan. So 60 days, everything is done. Was there anything in that time period that surprised you? Like you thought that systems in session was going to work one way, but in the end, it
Hmm.
worked differently. Was there anything like that?
Okay, let me think because something that did just come to my mind. I don't know if it necessarily surprised me. It was more like on my wish list, but it came true, so then it's it was still a part of it. But one thing that I like truly felt like I needed and wanted from HoneyBook was like automated reminder to be like, Megan, your client submitted this, so now you
Mhm.
need to go
And
do
do the thing.
XYZ, like to tell me like the task. So when we like connected the automated tasks or reminders for me, that was something that like I knew I needed because there's nothing I hate more than having time to sit down and work on my business and not knowing what to do
what you should do.
next. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that was necessarily a surprise, but definitely, like I said, definitely on my wish list. And we made
Hmm.
that happen. And now I know how to do it. So I can keep elaborating on that.
Oh, you said now you know how to do it. So let's go there now.
Okay.
So, Megan, is there anything that you have actually changed in the last few months of using your systems? Because you were a little unlike my other clients in that most of my clients, we work on this one offer, this one service,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
they end up taking everything that we created and like duplicating it. But like you do personal organizing. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of other offers yet. And I say yet because I can
Yeah.
see some things that you're going to do
Oh,
in
the
the
wheels
future.
are turning. Yep.
Right. But are you still using your systems as is, like as they were when we finished up a few months ago? Or have you made any changes since then?
I am still using them how we had them, except for the few things we did, like we made notes of, like adding the question about the cat. And
Hmm.
like if they had cats, then reminder task that to take a Claritin before I go.
I mean, guys, sometimes these are the questions that I ask
Yeah.
because when she went to the client's house, they had a cat and she didn't
Yeah.
expect that. And so
Yeah.
then I had to explain to her that I actually had the same thing when I was doing photography. I would forget to ask my clients if they had cats. And then I would get there. And if I was in an enclosed space where a cat was, I would just start sneezing and sneezing and sneezing. And I don't know if anybody listening realizes this, but once you get in a situation where you're in the house with the cat, taking a Claritin right there does not do anything. It doesn't make you stop sneezing.
No, no. So that, and then in the prep form, we talked about like asking them to like vacuum the space before we went or whatever,
Mhm.
like adding that. But other than that, no, I do know that when I am, because we did like a full on professional home organizing with product included. I do know I am going to offer just a decluttering session. So same thing, like I have half days and full days
Mhm.
for like a full declutter and reorganize with product included. A decluttering session would not include product. It would just help sort through everything, categorize, and then downsize everything. So
Yeah.
I guess I need to go back and look because that's like the next thing I'm going to do. I just don't know if I necessarily need to duplicate it
You
or
do
if,
need to duplicate it, but let me
okay.
ask you a follow
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Do you feel confident duplicating? Because, Megan, I mean, here, let's talk about it live. What you're going to end up doing is almost duplicating every single automation that you have. And then you're going to remove the things that are not related to
Yes,
just decluttering.
exactly.
So,
Yep.
any of your options where you talked about product, where you asked them about, the space and anything that you did to prepare to buy the organizing tools, you're going to eliminate all that. I would also imagine that you're going to end up duplicating the assets. So the booking form, you could use the same booking form and just have one for, one offer of just decluttering and another offer of decluttering plus product. And you could show them both so that they could select. But when it comes to the questionnaires, if some of the questions that you were asking are no longer relevant, if they're not getting product and you're not reorganizing, then you're going to want a separate questionnaire that doesn't include those. So that's where we built this one big offer for you. And going forward, you're just going to be able to duplicate and like eliminate. Ooh,
Yes,
kind
I
of like
like
personal
it. I like
organizing.
it. Yes, yes, yes. No, that's honestly, and that even works out perfectly that we did start with like the full rather than if
Mhm.
we would have started with decluttering and I needed to duplicate and then add in
Yes.
all the personalized, important pieces. Like it'll be, yeah, so slick
Yeah.
for me to just go in there and do that.
I mean, and you only had the one offer, but it is one of the things that I spend a lot of time, like even before we get on the kickoff call, it's like, okay, but like, what are all your offers?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I have a lot of different criteria for how you can choose if you have multiple offers, the offer that we are going to work on in
Yeah.
systems in session. But like, if you have two that you're choosing between and you can't quite pick one, I pick the most complicated one for you because
Yeah.
it's always going to be easier for us to outline everything
Yes.
and get all the forms that you need, all the emails. And then if you're downsizing your offer,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, you can
Yep.
just duplicate and eliminate versus duplicating and then adding additional steps. Because when you add the additional steps, you might need to think of more emails to write, additional
Yep.
timeline steps. And so I
Yes.
always want my clients, when they can, to reduce instead of expanding.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Megan, what are you excited about most for your systems and or your business going forward?
Oh my gosh, I'm just excited to like dive in and execute. And then one of my favorite, okay, so this is the way that like my brain operates is I love data and
Mhm.
analyzing results and making improvements. And so I cannot wait to like get some more clients through my systems, figure out what's working, what's not working, and then improving the overall client experience and even my own experience, and making my own life easier.
Mhm.
Like that's just what I'm so excited about. And I mean, like, I'm just kind of ready to show it off. Like, I'm like, you guys don't even know, you guys meaning my
Your
my
audience. Mhm.
potential
Yes.
potential
Those people out there that need
clients.
you, Megan.
Yeah, like I'm like, you don't even know how good and slick this is going to be for you and how much easier, how quickly your life can become easier
Mhm.
because it's a few forms back and forth and I'll show up and it'll be done one day.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like personal organizing is a lot like the other things that we do inside our business. Like, I feel like systems is that thing that a lot of people dread. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to take so much time and I have to wait until everything is perfect or I have to wait until I know exactly how I want every single thing to go." And I feel like a lot of us use that as an excuse to not move forward. But when it comes to something like doing things in your business like systems or even hiring a personal organizer. I mean, as you walk past the pile of clutter in your house multiple times a day, you should just think of somebody like Megan, where you could fill out a form and answer a few questions, and she will magically appear one day and get it all straight for you. And then every time you go into that space, into that room, you, your family, your children, your partner, whatever your family is made up of, is going to be in there thinking, oh my gosh, like, how amazing is this? And why did I waste so much time not doing it? Because I and I mean, I know that you understand this, but I'm going to say this out loud. It's like you don't want people to see your mess. You want to get it
Absolutely.
halfway, like organized or whatever.
My Google Forms were my version of Monica's closet. It's true. It's so true. And I keep going back to this in my head too about like, okay, I am organized. I am a professional organizer when it comes to homes and
Mhm,
classrooms. Like, give me a classroom and I will make that be a self-run classroom so fast. Give me a
mhm,
week with 25 kids. We'll get it going. It'll be so systematic and easy. But when it came to client experience process, forms, timing, like I would just spin my wheels in deciding the time in between, like the time
mhm.
frames of when to send certain things and what to say and like and what needed to be done. Like I would just get stuck. And it always is funny to me how I can be organized, but not in this, like not in systems
Mhm.
for my business to get that system through. But give me a house or a classroom, I can totally do it.
Well, Megan, let me ask you. So,
Hmm.
what would you recommend to people? Like, if they're feeling that, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I have to wait until I get all of my stuff together. Let me just sit with this. Like, what would be your recommendation to kind of push people over the hump? And it's not just like working with me, I'm talking about jumping in and like, starting to write client experience emails on your own or even figuring out like what you want to do with your clients. Because one thing that you said was it took you almost 2 years to figure out what you wanted to do with your clients once they inquired. But like, what is it that they can do to like help themselves get ready to actually figure that out?
I feel like people might not like my answer.
That's okay. We'll take it anyways.
Because honestly, I feel like it's kind of the thing. What I'm going to say is maybe not what people want to do because it's not a quick fix. Like to get to that point where I had that realization where I knew what I wanted with my business, I for years listened to so many podcasts. I read so many business books. Like I went to college to be a teacher. Okay?
Mhm,
I am not in the business world. That's not my background, but I have the service that I want to offer people. And ultimately, my passion is helping others, right? And so, listening to podcasts and reading, or I always do audiobooks, but listening to business books and I truly heard and took in and absorbed and educated myself on so many different philosophies almost.
Mhm.
And then I kind of chose who I wanted to listen to.
Okay.
So that, like, because there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of ways to market, there's a lot of ways to do everything. But where I said, like, I had to like marinate on what I wanted,
Mhm.
I also, so then I also had to choose, like, I'm going to listen to Colie when it comes to systems, and then I'm going to listen to Malvina when it comes to social media marketing,
Mhm.
and so you have to decide what's right for you and then choose providers to that you align with
Mhm.
to get to where you want to be. So it's like, I feel like my answer is like, it's a lot of work, but I mean, I just don't think that small business owners can truly run a business that they're not passionate about. I mean, that'd just be very hard. And if you're not aligned, like, if you just don't fully have like if you're like being self-aware of like what you need and things like that, it would just be really hard if you didn't have that first. So it's not the quick fix. It's not an easy piece of advice,
Well,
but
I just
that's
love
what
that
I
you're
would
saying
do.
it's not a quick fix because
No.
there's almost nothing in our business that can be a quick fix. And I never want anyone to just jump in and just hire the first person that says that they can, solve your problem. I do think there's a lot to be said for making sure that the solution that you're purchasing is actually going to fix the problem that you have. Because sometimes we think our problem is A, but it's really B and C. And yes, we bought something to help us with A, but then at the end of the day, like that didn't get you where you wanted to get. And so now, I mean, you might feel like you wasted money, you might feel like you wasted time. So I'm all about deliberate decisions, like making sure that what you are choosing to do is going forward. I just always want people, and it's a little weird because I feel like I've come like 180 degrees in the last year, because what I was doing probably 2 years ago was I was doing done for you, and I was giving you a complete system that worked from beginning to end. And I was basically automating everything that I thought you needed, everything that you could want. I was future proofing your business in a way. But then what happened was you get clients who the systems work perfectly, but they don't have the confidence to make a change if something is different or if they want to add in a new offer. And so it's like I literally had to force myself, no, like you really have to find out what your clients need. And I don't want to say force feed them because that sounds kind of rude, but like
But
literally
it's
putting in
true.
front of you, it
Yeah.
is, but
Yeah.
literally putting
Yeah.
in front of you what you need right now. And I think that what I'm doing better now than I have in the past is no, this is your minimally viable system. And I can see that in 6 months, you're going to need this. But I don't want to give this to you right now because this is going to overwhelm you. But like in 6 months, you will need this. You will be ready for this. You will probably like implement it even before I could send you an email reminder. Hey, I mean, and we had conversations about that related to your pricing. We had conversations about that related to getting people to rebook you after you did your original service. But like these are just things that once you get your bare minimum systems down and you really feel comfortable and confident doing them, the world is your oyster. Like you're going to be able to go wherever you want after, but I've got to get you to that first step first. Instead of making you walk all the way up the stairs, now I feel like I'm like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. Let's just get you here. And then we can worry about going upstairs later.
Yeah. And honestly, okay, this is like bringing up something that I have been saying to myself. So I haven't said this out loud yet, but what you were just saying is like, I truly felt like systems in session. I don't want to say it's the last piece because I could totally be wrong, but to me, it felt like the last piece of my business that I needed put together, and I just feel like you have your certain parts, and
Mm-hmm.
it took me a long time to figure out for sure like the offers that I wanted. I've tried a few over the years that I've been going, and I think I've finally decided like my digital guides are one thing, in-home services are another.
Mm-hmm.
And so then this getting systems in session and getting HoneyBook set up so that I could get the clients into my system and provide them services, I truly feel like now that I have all of these pieces set up, that I just feel like I just need to plug the machine in. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like, and my vision that I don't even know, there's probably another word better than vision, but like I feel like the work I'm doing with Malvina on the social media part, like to me, I'm like, I have my system set up. So when I plug it in with
Mm-hmm.
social media, it should, like, the system should circulate, or the
Yes.
like the flywheel should go. And I just feel it, but it took a long time to get there. I mean, I started this in March of 2023, and here I am,
Almost 3 years
2026.
later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I literally think there's studies on that, of like how much longer it takes women to start and set up businesses because of all of their responsibility, their
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities.
Well, but what's also
Uh,
interesting is, and you probably don't know this, and it's not just photographers, but I know this to be true of photographers. It's actually usually between year 2 and 3 when photographers have to make a decision. Are you going to run this like a business, or are you going to run this like an expensive hobby? Because in the first couple years, if you're focused on your creativity and you're not focused on improving your business, and I don't just mean systems, I mean the business processes overall, if you're not focused on actually running it like it's a business, you get to year 2 and 3 and you feel burnt out. You feel like you're putting all of this effort in and you're not getting the return on investment that you would want. It's not allowing you to, pay yourself a salary that you'd like. And so it's usually between years 2 and 3 when you have to put your money where your mouth is, or you have to do something else. And so I feel like that's also what you're telling me, is that, you've had 3 years
1000%. Yep.
and now everything is together for you. And with social media, and Megan, I will also say you need to do the SEO, since literally we put your contact form up and
Oh,
someone contacted you
the
immediately.
thing, here's one thing that I think is on my side on my website, because in that course that I took, the one of the people who have I think she actually bought it from the owner, so now she's
Mm-hmm.
the owner, but she's a big SEO person. So my website is pretty well optimized, at least on the back end. And
Okay.
honestly, Google is the number one, even over 3 years. It's the number one place that people find me. They don't really, I don't want to say they don't really find me on social media, because whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, and when it's summertime, my podcast is coming back. So that will also
Yes.
be, I can't wait. I'm like taking all these notes of shit I want to talk about.
And you should.
But
Yes.
not right. It's, I had to get everything else taken care of this year before that. But yes, SEO is, I know, like, it will support that flow right into the HoneyBook contact form.
Yes, I am excited to see your client machine, if you will. I'm excited to see
Yeah.
your client machine go. So I'm going to check back in with you this summer after school is done, when you're in
Yes.
the thick of it, when you've been doing your social media for a few months, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, we're continuing to get the SEO from web search, and maybe you can write a couple extra blog posts to put them on there for new
Yes.
content. I can't wait to check back in with you and see how your business is going.
Oh, thanks. I can't wait to hear from you.
Hey, I mean, I've got all of you guys on my list.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to call me out.
And be like, hey, Megan, how's
I
it
know.
going?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Maybe I do need to pre-schedule some reminders for Colie Pep
Yeah.
Talks. It
Yeah.
was really funny. I mean, I know that you listen to this podcast religiously,
Hmm.
but David's episode, he was the second person to join Systems in Session, like in
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like almost a year later that I interviewed him and I put his episode out. And I was just like, yeah, this is going to be very different than like me interviewing people immediately when they come out of Systems in Session. I'm really excited to keep, in contact with all of you. And I mean, I feel like now I should go write more feedback forms and be like, just to check in, like, how are things going?
Yeah.
What have you revamped in your systems? How many
Yeah.
clients? I mean, and if
Yeah.
I really wanted to, I should harass you guys for data. How many inquiries
Yeah.
have you had? How many
Yeah.
bookings have
Yep.
you? Okay, you know what, guys? I'm just going to sit here and talk on this podcast, and all of my clients are now going to get homework. I mean,
Exactly.
and not that you have to share it with me, but like you guys all should be like looking at your business data. And you already said at the top of this interview that you love data. So yeah,
Mhm.
keeping all of those things and like actually tracking your website traffic and
Yep.
the inquiries and what your booking rate is. I mean, all of that is just good for people to track in their business,
Mhm.
period. But now that you've got your systems up and running, I mean, you can do some of that tracking inside of HoneyBook in
Yeah.
relation to your booking conversions.
Mhm. Yeah. It's great. best decision I made in 2025, probably.
Aw, thank you, Megan. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Do you have any closing thoughts before we cut this off?
I don't know. I feel like I have spilled my guts on all the systems and session stuff that I had been holding on to since we got this scheduled. But yeah, it couldn't it was the right decision for me. And I did laugh when you talked about making half the investment back, because
Mhm.
that was a rule I told myself, was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to have to use the system until I at least make my money back.
Yes. I mean, it's going to pay you
Yeah.
back way more than that,
Yeah,
but yes.
exactly. So, yeah, for sure. Any business owner who needs a system or who gets in their way like I do, it'll be the best decision they make of 2026, that's for sure.
Oh, Megan, I love you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap this up. And I mean, one of the reasons that I was so excited to have Megan on is literally she's not a photographer. I mean, we did lots of stuff with Megan, but I feel like you guys drop in my DMs. And the funny thing was, Megan, when you were in Systems in Session, I think that I had 7 people right then that I was working with. 4 of you weren't photographers.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
I'm interviewing a couple of them soon, but like literally, I'm like, no, I can do the photography systems in my sleep. But also, I love hearing about the other businesses that people have so that I can really push you to think about all of the different things that you can do with your clients. Because one thing that I feel like, you and I are going to have a conversation when we hit stop is there is so much room for you to add more client experience emails, client education specifically to help them prepare their space, to help them, make decisions. And so that is really what my focus is on for like 2026 is focusing on the client education emails so that you guys can see the value in building trust from the moment that they inquire all the way until you deliver so that you can get those 3 R's, which are rave reviews, referrals, and repeat clients, which are what all of us should want from our business.
Yes, exactly.
All right, everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. If you would like to hear more case studies, I have another one linked in the show notes for you to listen to. But that's it for today. See you next time.